pick up where we left off, where we were discussing cognitive biases. That way we know what we're working with and against in order to become more persuasive. So, why are psychics believable? Well, there's this effect called the Barnum effect. It's a psychological trick that we've used for a really long time in sales, in psychology, in circuses, and fortune telling. And I'm going to tell you right now, these psychics use this to manipulate people. That people that can talk to the dead probably aren't real, that they're using this technique called the Barnum effect. Essentially, it's built around the fact that everyone's insecurities are similar. Everyone considers themselves a hero or the good guy. Studies show that even murderers don't think of themselves as bad people, but as people who are struggling with something. They're still the protagonist. Awesome. Because the following statements really do apply to most people. Most people have a great need for other people to like and admire them. Most people have some personality weaknesses and they're able to recognize that, and they know that they're able to compensate for them. Most people have serious doubts as to whether or not they've made the right decision or done the right thing. People have found it unwise to be too open or honest in revealing themselves to others. For most people, security is one of the major goals in life. People like to know where their next meal is coming from, where they're going to sleep at night. Most people have a tendency to be critical of themselves. Most people have a great deal of unused capacity, which they haven't turned to their advantage. Most people feel that they're disciplined and self-controlled outside, yet they're worrisome and insecure on the inside. Most people find that they can flip a switch, right, and be extroverted and affable and sociable, and other times they're introverted, they're wary, they're reserved. And most people find that a lot of their aspirations tend to be pretty unrealistic. Speaking of things that apply to most people, let's look at some more cognitive biases. So people have this brain glitch called the availability heuristic. Our brains don't like to work hard, so they fall back on these simple shortcuts to make decisions. For example, people justify that cigarettes may not give them lung cancer because they read about somebody who smoked cigarettes who lived to be 100. Their brain picked out this one thing that they read and it canceled out all other rational information. Or when people see in the news a bunch of things about mass shootings, they tend to think that the likelihood of a mass shooter being at their grocery store to be significantly more likely, even if mass shootings are going down year over year. Even though I live in a very safe neighborhood, if I watch several episodes of Law and Order in a row, I'm pretty convinced everyone is a murderer. So whenever we're in flow with somebody, we do this thing called mirroring, right? And you may have noticed this type of mirroring before that you see up here on the slide. Perhaps you've seen, people mimicking the posture of their boss or saying something in time with a friend or something like that. When you're mirroring somebody, you're just increasing your similarity to somebody in that moment. They'll like you more. They'll become more inclined to agree with you. They're more likely to buy stuff from you. They're more likely to hire you or help you out. We like things that are like us. We prefer our family members over foreigners. We prefer dogs over frogs. Copying somebody's body language, their rate of speech, their posture, their choice of words, their movement, their clothing, their beliefs will make you more similar to them in that moment. They'll have significantly more affinity for you. Sometimes they won't even be able to explain why. We've evolved this habit of mirroring because it helps us kind of recognize the in-group. We can bond with them and persecute the out-group more efficiently, right? So here's how to check if somebody's mirroring you, right? First place you want to look is always the legs, right? We'll often fall into step with people as we walk. Then look at their body. When people are in flow, they start to imitate one another's posture. They'll cross the leg or lean forward the same way. Look at people's heads. When people are in flow, they tilt their heads to the same side. And definitely check out pace. Some people can influence our state. They can speed us up or get us more excited, or they can be the type of person that calms everybody down. While you already mirror people naturally, there's a benefit in being able to do it deliberately. right? Or being aware of it, because there are times that you might not want to mirror somebody, like if you're seeking to establish some type of social dominance, or when you don't want to get upset or drawn into somebody's negative space. And there are times when you normally wouldn't mirror somebody in which maybe you should, right? If you're talking to a shy person and you want them to open up to you. This kind of unintentional mirroring also happens frequently in families, right? Kids will generally adopt the behavior that they see in their parents or older siblings. We have a lot of the same lingo as our parents do. Studies find that most people say hello when answering the phones because their parents did. And most people's parents say hello when they answer their phone because their parents did. And their parents did because they were checking to see if the operator was on the other end. That's one reason why mirroring can be a really powerful tool in a pitching or a sales situation. The other person may subconsciously assume that you're acting like them because you're their friend. So you can also quite deliberately just let yourself mirror other people. And I want to say let yourself because I still want you to focus on them. I still want you to be in flow with them and just let it happen naturally. If you try to do it very deliberately, it can be a little bit weird, particularly if they notice that you're doing it and it'll be like a bad Marx Brothers film. Just let your thoughts become aligned. Let your body fall into flow with them. If you're aware of your posture, you're going to make the other person aware of it too. So try to mirror people in subtle ways, right? Ways that feel comfortable to you. Notice how the other person's sitting and mimic it. Don't exactly copy their posture. Or match their large gestures with large gestures, their small gestures with small. Use the same words they do. Match their inflection, their modulation, their pace, their volume. If they're tapping their feet, maybe tap or jiggle something at a similar pace. So when we call it mirroring, there's this temptation to face somebody. If you can, always try to sit side by side. That allows the person to be much more comfortable to go off into their own space and not focus so much on your presence in front of them. Remember that mirroring should be subtle. Nobody should consciously be aware that that's what you're doing. It's really useful though if you want to get people to see things from your point of view, if you want to wind down conflict, if you want to fit in with a new group, if you want to get something that you want when negotiating, or get people to feel the way you do. Right? You can mirror somebody's tone of voice, their rate of speech, their posture, their hand gestures, and their word choice. Please, please, please avoid mirroring somebody's accent or copying really unusual phrases. It's not every day that you, like in the video we just saw, not everybody says something's as old as the hills, right? Don't copy any unusual phrases, and then certainly not their accent because you don't want to seem like they're mocking them.